In the depths of a rapidly changing world, where science, politics, and the pursuit of individual freedom have become dominant forces, a provocative declaration echoed from the shadows of history. God is dead. This audacious statement, first articulated by philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche in his 1882 work The Gay Science, was not a literal pronouncement of a divine death, but rather an insight into the societal shift that had been unfolding for centuries. For Nietzsche, the death of God was a symbol of the decline of traditional religious beliefs in the modern world, and with it, the erosion of the moral frameworks that had once governed human behavior. What does this statement mean in the context of Nietzsche's philosophy, and how does it challenge the very foundation of morality as we know it? In this essay, we will explore Nietzsche's radical rejection of religious morality, diving deep into the implications of his critique of Christianity and the moral systems that arose from it. We will also look at how Nietzsche's ideas continue to influence contemporary philosophy, psychology, and even politics today. So, let us embark on a journey into Nietzsche's revolutionary philosophy, a journey that questions the very essence of what it means to live an ethical life in a world without divine guidance. Welcome, dear viewers, to another insightful exploration on the Unfolding Journey YouTube channel, where we delve into the profound ideas that have shaped our world. From the great minds of history to the challenges of our modern age, our mission is to guide you through some of the most important philosophical and cultural ideas of all time. Today, we explore one of the most radical and controversial thinkers in the history of Western philosophy, Friedrich Nietzsche. His bold and often unsettling ideas have reshaped how we understand religion, morality, and even human nature itself. In this video, we'll be unpacking his declaration that God is dead, and how this concept forms the crux of Nietzsche's critique of religious morality. Before we dive into the complexities of Nietzsche's thought, if you're new to the channel or haven't subscribed yet, please take a moment to hit that subscribe button and enable notifications. This way, you won't miss any of our exciting discussions on philosophy, culture, and the big questions of life. And if you enjoy the video, make sure to leave us a comment below to share your thoughts. Now, let's get started. To understand Nietzsche's radical rejection of religious morality, we must first grasp the context in which his famous statement, "God is dead," was made. At the heart of Nietzsche's philosophy is the assertion that Western civilization, especially through the influence of Christianity, has entered a crisis point. This crisis, Nietzsche believed, was born out of the increasing dominance of scientific reasoning and the rise of secularism, forces that increasingly eroded the authority of religion. Nietzsche was not the first thinker to question the role of religion in public life. However, he was perhaps the most forceful and systematic in articulating the consequences of the shift away from a religious worldview. God is dead speaks to the decline of religious authority, particularly the Christian God, in shaping people's understanding of the world. The death of God is metaphorical, not literal. Nietzsche suggests that belief in a higher power has diminished to the point of irrelevance in the lives of modern people. As we moved into an era marked by Enlightenment thinking, the idea of a supernatural God was slowly replaced by human-centered reasoning. Science began to answer questions that were once left to religious explanations, and the world became increasingly disenchanted. With this disenchantment, the moral systems that had once been built upon religious doctrine began to lose their influence. To fully appreciate the radical nature of Nietzsche's thoughts, we need to understand his critique of Christian morality. In his view, Christianity had fostered a moral system that was fundamentally life-denying. Nietzsche believed that Christianity's emphasis on humility, self-sacrifice, and meekness promoted a kind of morality that repressed natural human instincts and desires. Rather than affirming life, Christianity, according to Nietzsche, taught people to deny the very essence of existence in favor of an otherworldly promise of salvation. Central to Christian morality, Nietzsche argued, is the notion of slave morality. This form of morality values meekness, obedience, and the submission of individual will to a higher authority, traits that Nietzsche saw as manifestations of weakness. The people who adhered to these values, Nietzsche contended, were the slaves of society, who had been taught to view themselves as inferior and in need of divine guidance. This morality, rooted in the idea of sin and redemption, discouraged individuals from embracing their personal power, creativity, and ambition. By contrast, Nietzsche advocated for a master morality, which celebrated strength, individuality, and the will to power. For Nietzsche, the masters were the individuals who created their own values and lived authentically, without being constrained by the moral codes imposed by religious authorities. He saw these individuals as life-affirming figures who thrived on their own terms and were unafraid to challenge traditional values. The death of God, Nietzsche warned, had profound implications for society. As the moral framework of Christianity crumbled, there was a vacuum left in its place. People could no longer rely on an external authority to tell them what was right and wrong. In the absence of a divine moral lawgiver, individuals were left to confront the meaning of life on their own. For Nietzsche, this was both a liberating and terrifying realization. On one hand, the death of God opens up the possibility for individuals to create their own values and live authentically, free from the shackles of tradition. This is where Nietzsche's concept of the Übermensch, often translated as Overman or Superman, comes into play. The Übermensch represents an individual who has transcended conventional morality and is able to forge a new path based on their own will and desires. On the other hand, Nietzsche recognized that the death of God could lead to nihilism, the belief that life is ultimately meaningless. Without a transcendent source of moral authority, individuals might be left to question the purpose of their existence, leading to despair and existential crisis. This nihilistic vacuum could be a source of profound disillusionment if not confronted with strength and creativity. Nietzsche's response to this crisis was to urge humanity to embrace the challenges of life and to reject the comforting but ultimately life-denying comforts of traditional religious morality. Rather than succumbing to nihilism, Nietzsche believed that humanity could overcome this void by creating new values and embracing the fullness of life. The death of God, in his view, did not spell the end of human flourishing, but the beginning of a new era where individuals could assert their will and define their own destiny. At the heart of Nietzsche's philosophy is the idea of the will to power, a concept that encapsulates his understanding of human motivation and the drive to assert oneself in the world. For Nietzsche, the will to power is the fundamental force that drives all life. It is not simply a desire for domination, but a more profound drive to grow, create, and express oneself fully. The will to power serves as a counterpoint to the passive and self-denying morality that Nietzsche saw in Christianity. By rejecting external moral dictates, individuals could tap into their own internal will and create a life that was truly their own. This process of self-creation, Nietzsche believed, was essential to becoming the Übermensch and transcending the limitations of traditional morality. In this way, Nietzsche's rejection of religious morality was not merely a critique of existing systems of thought. It was an invitation to embrace a more active, creative, and empowered approach to life. The death of God was not the end, but the beginning of a new chapter in human history, one where individuals could define their own values and live according to their true desires. In Nietzsche's bold proclamation that God is dead, he was not simply engaging in a theological debate. Rather, he was challenging us to confront the very foundations of morality and the meaning of life itself. The death of God, for Nietzsche, opened up the possibility of radical freedom, the freedom to create new values and to live a life that is true to our own inner will. Nietzsche's ideas continue to provoke, inspire, and challenge thinkers today. His radical rejection of religious morality forces us to confront the deepest questions about human nature, ethics, and the pursuit of meaning. In a world that continues to wrestle with these questions, Nietzsche's philosophy remains as relevant as ever. So, what do you think? Is Nietzsche's vision of a world without God a liberating one, or does it leave us adrift in a sea of nihilism? How can we navigate the complexities of morality in the absence of divine guidance? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your reflections on Nietzsche's radical ideas. And if you enjoyed this video and want to explore more thought-provoking topics, don't forget to subscribe to The Unfolding Journey. We have many more exciting discussions lined up, and we'd love for you to be a part of our community. Hit the subscribe button and stay tuned for future content. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep unfolding your journey.